Welcome back to the Growth Catalyst Hub. Today, on day 4, we are going to look at one of the most important topics that people normally don't consider, which is looking at building a long-term career roadmap. We are going to look at how do you build such a roadmap? How do you add milestones, both long-term milestones as well as short-term milestones, so that you know that you are on the right track. Let's dive in. When people think about their careers, I've seen people wondering, what am I doing? Why am I stuck here? This happens because they don't have the map with them. Sometimes you don't know, if you don't have GPS on your phone and you don't know where to go, if you don't have a map, if you have not been to that place, if you're not familiar, then you don't know where you are going. You know that feeling of having been stuck. You need to ask somebody. So having a career roadmap functions like a GPS on the phone. It tells you whether you are on the right track, where you need to go. Once you are sure about that, having this roadmap tells you whether you are on the right track, what you need to do. Do you need to take a detour? Do you need to go by some other way to reach that milestone, reach that goal? That's the function of having this roadmap. It's not about having a very rigid set of things so that you have to abide by them. That's not possible. Life happens. Good things happen, bad things happen. Many times people either get lucky or luck out. That happens. And many times the external events are not in our control. So having a long-term roadmap for the career is having a general course of action. Okay, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, or in some cases, if you are 30, 35 plus, 5 years down the line, this is the place I want to be. This is the position that I want to be in. This is the role that I want to be playing. And if that is where I want to be, how do I start from today to reach there? That's what we are talking about. Obviously, basis what is happening in your life, and sometimes even the passion and the interest change. That's absolutely par for the course, absolutely normal, nothing wrong about that. We have seen people who have been in the IT industry, peak of the IT industry, quitting their job and going and doing farming in their land. So you do whatever passions that you have. You do whatever you fancy and interests you in terms of what you want to do in your life. All we're talking about is, if you have a long-term goal, a vision to reach somewhere, you need to have a map to reach there. And how do you create that map? That's all that we're talking about. So what are the steps? Step number 1, start with where you want to go. Which is the goal? Where do you want to reach? It could be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever that time horizon, that is a place that you want to reach. Some simple questions like, what does success look like for me? What would make me happy if that happened in terms of my career and position, let's say 5 years down the line? Some of these questions would clarify your own thoughts to you, and it would propel you to think a lot more deeply about where you want to reach. So ask these questions, jot down what you get in terms of answers. Some of these answers would guide you in terms of where you want to go. Let me take a real life example. Let me talk about Saranya. She joined a company as a junior accountant. Within a year or two, she was very clear that her career goal, let's say 10 years down the line, 12 years down the line, was to become the CFO of that company or a similar company. So she talked to people there. She also looked at what kind of qualifications one needs to go there to reach that kind of a position. She realized that she needed a lot more skills and a lot more training, a lot more understanding, learning along the way to reach there. So she set out a path. She looked at what are the certifications that she needs to get. She looked at what are the learning that she needs to get. She enrolled on online program. She also talked to a few people who are senior in the industry and asked them to be her mentor so that she can be groomed along the way. Because if you want to be a CFO, it's not only financial understanding which would help you. You also need business understanding. You also need the ability to communicate and build a team, work with a team, and so on and so forth. So all of that is not going to happen in one day. So she set out a path for herself in terms of 1, learning, 2, certifications, 3, the skills that she requires. 4, the mental attitude, the fortitude that she needs to have to reach to that place. All of that, when she mapped out and she worked on that, fabulously helped her to move in that direction. So that's what we are talking about in terms of setting a goal and working towards that. Step number 2 is obviously to break this path into very, very small manageable goals. In our example, Sharanya, because she wanted to be a CFO 10, 12 years down the line, she mapped out what are the skills she needed, what are the learnings that she needed. She also put very smart goals, short-term milestones in terms of how she's approaching this entire career path. She said that I need to get these certifications within 1 year. She said, I need to be groomed in terms of my communication, in terms of my leadership, in terms of my team building ability, and I need to get feedback from my team, my boss, and my super boss, so that not only they know that I am actually working towards it, but I can prove to myself that I am actually worth it. So she put very clear time-bound goals. In 1 year, what I need to do, in 2 years, what I need to do, in 5 years, where should I be, and how do I assess that, how do I measure that? She was very clear, and this kind of putting a clear time-bound specific goals really helped her in terms of moving in the right path, getting the skills, getting the training, and having a sense of clearly achieving something every single day of her life. Third step is actually part of the second step, is all about identifying what skills that you need to reach there. It's actually a set of skills, as well as, the skills could be hard skills and soft skills, and also grooming yourself mentally. So 2 parts to it, skills and your attitude, the mentality that you bring to the table to reach there. So in our case, Saranya, while she wanted to be the CFO in 10, 12 years and she mapped out, the way she mapped out was to start with identified the skills that she needed. What are the skill sets that is required by a CFO in her company? What are the skill sets that are required for a bigger company CFO? She studied, talked to people, talked to industry experts, reached out to many people, reached out to people in LinkedIn, did all that. And by all of this, understood what are the skills, what are the mental attitudes, what are the strengths that are required for you to be a CFO. Then she looked at what are the skills that she had, or at least starting to have. And then zeroed in on, okay, I have these skill sets, clear, no problem. I need to have these skill sets. For example, the financial analysis skill set, or tax understanding skill set, or the tax laws understanding skill set. And she mapped out saying that I have these, I have some of this, but I need to go a long way. I have none of this. So 3 buckets of skill sets, and started working on the last 2 buckets. I have some of this, but I need to go. I have none of this, and therefore need to start acquiring. She was also simultaneously working on her mental frame of mind, so that the way she looked at people, the way she looked at her own industry and a cluster of similar industries was very clear to her, so that it's not only her hard skills and soft skills of communication and so on which helped her, but also when she came to a table of illustrious people sitting there, she could hold her own and talk and make sense. Step number 4 is setting milestones. Year 1, where you want to be. And is it realistic? It has to be realistic. Year 1, if, for example, Saranya had set herself in terms of year 1, I want to be CFO. It's a very unrealistic goal. It's not going to happen. You need to be worthy of that goal before that work materializes for you. So you need to set very, very realistic goals. And sometimes the goal that you set, the milestone that you set may or not happen. That's okay. You need to look at why that did not happen. Was it unrealistic? Is it that you did not even work towards that? It could be either of this. And rework on the timetable as well as your effort and the smartness with which you approach the whole thing. So you need to look at What are the indicators, or in other words, milestones that would tell you that you are on the right path? If you are going on the road, the indicators are that on the GPS, you are approaching that destination. If you don't have a GPS, but you are familiar with the place, then this shop is there, this petrol bunk is there, and so on, which would tell you that you are nearing the destination. Similarly, what are the signposts? What are the milestones which would tell you that you are actually going there? What are the signposts which will tell you that you are actually acquiring those skills? And how do you know that you are acquiring those skills in a good manner, that you are actually good in those skills? Enrolling into online programs is easy. Even studying is easy. But how do you know to yourself, to prove to yourself that you have mastered those skills? That's what matters. That is where you need milestones. So the fifth step is about measuring your progress, reviewing your progress, and revisiting even the passion, even the goal once in a while. Why am I saying this? Because passions change. You start with some interest today, but 2 years down the line, you may not have the same interest. A lot of us hold the same interest, a lot of us hold the same passion in the industries that we are in. And that is why you see a lot of people progressing in the same industry, starting at the very, very entry level and going up to CEO, CFO, and building that company to a very, very, very big level. But some people also have change of heart, also change their passion, and that happens. And that's absolutely fine. So it's important to revisit these goals. Otherwise, goals will be on paper. You will not be able to put the right effort behind it simply because your passion has run out. So check whether you still have the same passion. Check whether you are making the progress and whether you are making the effort to make the progress. When you do all of this, you know whether the goal is still relevant, whether the effort that you are putting on is still meaningful and good enough to reach there. And 3, what else you need to do to reach there. All of this will become very, very evident when you start working towards this. Let me give you a real life example of Satya Nadella, the head of Microsoft. He joined Microsoft in 1992 as a young engineer. Of course, he did not have the vision that, he wanted to be a CEO at that point in time, but he definitely wanted to be in cutting edge innovation. He definitely wanted to be in future of computing. He definitely wanted to lead from the front. That was very, very clear from his very, very young age. His path in Microsoft was not linear. He took on different roles. He worked on Windows NT. He worked on Windows cloud computing in Microsoft. He initially took on small teams, increasingly took on larger and larger teams, larger and larger challenges, and worked with different kinds of teams, different parts of Microsoft, so that he had a complete overview of the different parts that make Microsoft by the time he became a CEO. From the very early stage, he was very clear that he not only wanted to understand the technology side of the business, which he did very, very deeply, but he also wanted to understand the business side of the things. So he went on and pursued an MBA sponsored by Microsoft, and that degree added phenomenally in terms of what he was. He brought a very deep understanding of the business side of things to the table, and when it combined with his technological understanding, which was already very deep, it made him a formidable person in terms of what value he brought to Microsoft. Throughout his career, Nadella set milestones. One of the key milestones for him, as he recounted, was the milestone of becoming the head of the cloud computing business, which was very, very important for Microsoft to transform from a legacy software business to a cloud computing giant. When he became the head of that division, he set milestone for the division, which was basically the goals for himself, and grew the division phenomenally. That was the real reason why Nadella became the CEO of Microsoft later, because Microsoft went on to become a giant in the cloud computing space. So when you look at Satya Nadella's journey in Microsoft, starting as a young engineer in 92 and culminating in his being the CEO of the whole giant. And along the way, he transforming the entire giant, which was completely a hierarchical company, a software legacy company, transforming that into a client-centric, very big cloud computing giant, you can see the way he understood and the way he set for himself. He learned a lot of things along the way, both technological and business. He also set milestones for himself and the company. He tracked his progress every single moment so that he's very clear that he's on the way along with Microsoft in terms of achieving them. A great lesson which all of us can apply in our own career. So to summarize, 1, start with a long-term vision. Be clear as to where you want to go. 2, set very clear short-term goals, milestones. 3, look at what are the skills that you need. What is the gap between where you are and where you want to go in terms of skill sets, in terms of talent, in terms of your learning, in terms of your mental attitude towards it, and start acquiring it. 4, have a very clear reviewing mechanism so that you know where you are progressing. 5, revisit, including the goal once in a while, so that you are very clear that the goal still remains relevant for you throughout your life. And of course, you would also review your progress made, and wherever you need to take a detour, take a different way to achieve that goal, a different kind of skill set is required. Industry is evolving, and therefore you need to evolve along with that. All of that would be clear when you sit and review your own progress. Wishing you all the very best in your career in terms of setting the long-term path along with the short-term milestones. I'm sure you like this video. Please like it. Please subscribe it. See you in our video next session. Bye.